Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joe Pisapia, and it's time to look ahead to the waiver wire for Week 4 in the NFL. We had a million block kicks. We had a million injuries we're going to have to deal with, and don't worry, everybody. The cupboard is not quite bare. It's not as bad as it might seem. There are some names that can help your fantasy teams pull out of a tailspin, and to help us find those names, of course, D-Bro, Derek Brown, the King of Bros, and my patty cakes, Pat Fitzmaurice. Pat is unfortunately not as happy this morning after a loss to the Cleveland Browns for his Green Bay Packers, and I thought I would troll him by wearing my Vikings shirt today, but apparently he won a ton of money in the Vikings yesterday, so I guess it was kind of a push for you in Week 3, Fitzy.
Yeah, it kind of was. And I had told this story to D-Bro on our Friday show where, our daughter was born in 2005 on a Sunday, and that Sunday the Packers went out and lost to the Browns in Cleveland to the Trent Dilfer-led Cleveland Browns. Ooh. Trent Dilfer had like 3 touchdowns in that game. 20 years later, a couple days after our daughter celebrated her 20th birthday, the Packers go out and lay another egg in Cleveland. So I guess it's a 20-year thing. It's like a cicada infestation.
Oh, my goodness. Well, look, there were some fun things, though. It wasn't all doom and gloom in Week 3. Cam Scadaboo. Oh, my boy, D-Bro. Yep. I'm so excited. I kept saying, everybody wrote the kid off in high school. Everybody wrote him off in college. Everybody's writing him off in the pros. Scores his touchdown, does a backflip. I mean, it's the only good thing really to happen for the New York Giants last night. But it was fun, and I just want to talk about Cam Scadaboo because he's a good time.
Dude, a lot of fun. Tone setter, man. I just love all the videos that have come out, whether it's been like him grabbing Russ by the jersey, him timing up his celly with the fireworks. I know they didn't really do that, but it was really cool to see. And the Dayball press conference one still gets me. If y'all have not seen this video, please go out there and watch this. Dayball's talking to the reporters. He stops for a second and smirks, and Cam Scadaboo is in the back of the room going, woo! Dude,
well, at least somebody's excited about Giants football. At least somebody is.
Giants fan base and football, y'all need this energy.
Pat,
you
need
need
this energy. What was the tweet that you said? It was something about like what was the Cam Scadaboo? There's what?
So someone tweeted that there are 2 types of white running backs: cerebral thinkers like McCaffrey, and then there's just absolute crayon eaters like Scadaboo.
Yes, crayon eaters like Cam Scadaboo.
Yeah,
that's
delicious. And I have to shout out, Joe, I know you were a big Scadaboo guy, and Scott Bogman, my Dynasty podcast partner. Bogman was all over Scadaboo, and we would have off-season Superflex mock rookie drafts, and Bogman would take Scadaboo at like 8 or 9 every time and would just absolutely get crushed in the YouTube and Twitter comments for it. I mean, just destroyed. Like, I hope those people are circling back to apologize to Scott Bogman. He just knew, man.
They won't.
Bogman knew.
Well, Bogman, I used to talk about him all last November. We were talking about him. We're like, you know what? I don't think anyone's going to stop this kid from being... It's not going to be a long career, maybe, but it's going to be a fun one while it lasts. All right, we've got a lot of players to get to, and I know you want help on that, so we're going to get to that. But first, let's give away the wall smack that we were... plugging last week on the show and all week long. So the Trophy Smack Wall Smack giveaway is done. It's over. Michael Strauss, you are the winner. Please get in touch with us and our customer support agents at mailbag@fantasypros.com with your mailing address, a screenshot of your YouTube account, and while you're logged in, of course. And also, once we confirm that, we'll get that prize shipped out to you right away. So congratulations to Michael Strauss, the winner of the NFL Wall Smack Trophy Smack giveaway. And of course, when one giveaway goes away, another takes its place. Next giveaway up, if you want a chance to win the ultimate symbol of fantasy glory, the Fantasy Football Championship belt, courtesy of our good friends at Trophy Smack, the #1 destination for epic fantasy football hardware. This is your moment right here. This massive gold-plated belt is built to make a statement. You can run into your draft next year and hit somebody with that belt, knock them out cold, take their draft pick, and go ahead and get 2 first-rounders. That's how heavy this thing is. I've got 2 of them myself. They're amazing. I love them. A couple Expert League championships. But let me get to you. To enter, all you got to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Bros YouTube channel right now. Drop a comment below on this or any video. Like the video. And, of course, ring the bell till it goes ding so you never miss a piece of content on the channel. And, of course... we will be alerting you if you are the big winner, just like Michael was. So the next winner could be you of the Fantasy Football Championship belt. Let's get to the waiver wire ad of the week, gentlemen, because We've got 2 running backs out for the year. We've got CeeDee Lamb out for probably 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. I don't care what anybody. Don't listen to what Jerry Jones tells you about I think he can still play. I think it's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. CeeDee Lamb's got special ankles. His ankles are special. Don't worry about him. It's going to be all right. Don't listen to him. He's wrong. By the way, I can't wait for my Jerry Jones shirt to arrive in the mail from Debro for my birthday.
It's in transit, sir.
Oh,
it's in transit.
Anyway, we are doing the waiver wire ad with a caveat because we couldn't believe this guy was still available as widely as he was. And it's more of a public service announcement. The player we're going to talk about first is still 50% rostered already in Sleeper. That's too low. But on Yahoo, he is just 21% rostered, and we've talked about him since freaking August. I mean, we were talking about him back in draft season, too. It's Elic Ayomanor of the Tennessee Titans, wide receiver. And we just keep going back and forth. We can't believe that he's still, and I understand like Yahoo's got some 10-team leagues in it, a lot of them, and shallow play and all this stuff, but it just feels like, come on, man, at this point, like he is consistently getting targets. He's got back-to-back games with touchdowns. Debro, it just seems like Elic Ayomanor, people don't want to buy in because it's the Tennessee Titans, and I just think that's flat out wrong because Ayomanor is proving that he can be a fantasy asset right now, and there's room to grow. It's only September. Things can only possibly get better for him and Cam Ward, who's had the worst possible schedule to open up. I mean, what? The Denver Broncos and Sean Payton on the road, and then Sean McVay the next week, and the Rams? This poor kid, I want to send him an edible arrangement. It's been a horrible start to the year for him because of these matchups. Things will get better for Cam Ward and for Elic Ayomanor, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, man. And yeah, we're talking about a guy that should not be out there in as many leagues. And I mean, Pat was giving flowers to Cam Scattaboo and Scott Bogman at the beginning of this. Pat was all over Ayomanor the entire pre-draft process. Love the kid. And the upside is definitively there. Like, we're also talking about a guy that has been wide receiver 25, wide receiver 24 in weekly scoring over the last 2 weeks. And I understand that, like, touchdowns are part of that, but Calvin really looks like he doesn't have any juice left, man. So we're talking about Ayomanor, like, he's getting targets. He can earn more moving forward. And I think that, like, what you talked about, Joe, really needs to be a big part of this conversation. Cam Ward, better days should be ahead. Like, this could be the very, like, bottom basement level of the quarterbacking play for him that we see right now throughout the rest of the season. So the better he plays, the more reps he gets, the better it is for Elic moving forward, too.
Yeah, I mean, looking ahead to the schedule, too, they got the Texans. Cardinals defense is pretty good, but then they play Las Vegas. The Patriots have been up and down this year. Like, I just feel like it was a really tough start to the year. But Ayomanor, a player that I know we've talked about on this show over and over again, so I don't spend too much time on him. But Pat, I understand maybe after week 1, people didn't want to hear it. After week 2, he scored a touchdown. Maybe people were listening. But now it's unfortunate because if you didn't add him these last couple of weeks for basically a buck or two, I feel like now it's going to cost you a little bit, especially because we had multiple wide receiver injuries, right? Mike Evans is hurt. CeeDee Lamb is hurt. Terry McLaurin might be out. Like, all of a sudden now people are looking at that waiver wire, and if Ayomanor is still out there, now it's going to cost you triple the cost.
Yeah, it's possible Elic Ayomanor is already the Titans' best receiver. A touchdown in back-to-back weeks. He's got 2 more catches than Calvin Ridley. After 2 weeks, and we haven't gotten the air yards numbers yet for week 3, but Ayomanor, after 2 weeks, had an air yard share of about 41%, which ranked 16th in the league. He's just such a physical receiver that it's not hard to imagine him being a prolific touchdown scorer throughout his career. I mean, the only real concern I have with Ayomanor is that he's a pretty deep ADOT right now. His average depth of target is 13.4 yards. And it's obviously harder to complete deeper throws, and Ayomanor is working with a rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. Not that Ward can't make those throws, but the deeper average depth of target suggests that maybe Ayomanor's production could be a little inconsistent week to week. But 2 touchdowns, and I think there are going to be more to come.
All right, more to come for Elic Ayomanor. Let's switch gears and take a look at the RBs who could help us potentially in week 4. And we talked about it on a couple shows. I know Debro and I talked about it on some of the live streams last week. This is why you subscribe to the channel and watch the live streams. I said, look, if the Dolphins don't start getting Ollie Gordon some action here, what the hell are we doing? What was that preseason for? And I know, Pat, you've had some issues with Gordon and you weren't like as big of a fan. But again, I'm old enough to remember 2 years ago in college when he was one of the most coveted running backs out there in college football, and then a down season last year, and then a brilliant preseason. And like, if you were going to try to stay in games, if you were the Dolphins with the defense you have to keep running the football more. And I think there was a really evident moment in that Bills game on Thursday night where Devon Achane got picked up. I don't remember who picked him up and basically threw him basically 3 yards back. And I'm watching it going, yeah, like that's not what you need to be doing with Devon Achane. You can't do that stuff with him. You need another complimentary back like the Mosterts of the world and somebody like an Ollie Gordon. 9 carries for 38 yards and a touchdown. Do you think, Pat, now you're going to see potentially a little bit more Ollie Gordon after the Dolphins hung in that game with the Bills and looked a little bit better?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you got to play Achane a lot because the guy's just so explosive, and he's such a big component of what Miami does on offense. But Ollie Gordon's skill set complements Devon Achane's really nicely. This big thumper to go with the smaller, quicker guy. So Ollie Gordon should get regular work and maybe be kind of a guy with fringy standalone value. Now, the contingent value, though, Ollie Gordon would clearly be the guy if anything happened to Achane, because we saw Jalen Wright come back from injury last week, didn't get on the field. Gordon is clearly ahead of Jalen Wright at this point. And, you know, Achane is a sub 200-pound running back who's not exactly built like a bowling ball and is routinely getting tackled by guys who weigh 100 pounds more than he does. So not a bad idea to have the guy who would benefit if something were to happen to Achane.
Yeah, if you want to keep Achane up and running, you have to make sure you kind of spread the wealth just a little bit, you know, and especially in certain circumstances. Debro, he's 31% rostered. Let's talk about the FAAB spend on a guy like Ollie Gordon. Obviously, maybe a little bit more aggressive if you have Achane. But right now, there's a lot of teams that are looking for some help at RB. We've lost Austin Eckler. We've lost Connor. We've lost Najee Harris. We've lost a lot so far to start the season, unfortunately.
No, absolutely. And then you have other backfields like, does anybody feel good starting Bill right now with Washington dissolving into like a 3-way committee? So Ollie's he's definitively moving forward like a touchdown dependent flex with massive contingent upside. So no, totally fine with like, I mean, if you've got Achane, maybe like 6 to 7%, but probably somewhere in that 3 to 6% range, depending on what your running back room looks like and who's on your roster and stuff. I mean, do you disagree, Pat?
No, I don't. And if you're planning this out in week 5, when the first of the bye weeks hit, the Dolphins get the Carolina Panthers and their notoriously soft run defense. So that could be a game where you could use Ollie Gordon if you're getting socked, like if you're a Josh Jacobs investor, because the Packers are on bye in week 5. You might want to have Ollie Gordon as a guy you can plug in when Jacobs goes on bye.
Not that Fitzy has the Packers schedule memorized or anything.
Well, of course he does. Yeah, apparently the Falcons didn't get the memo that you can run the football on the Carolina Panthers. They're the only ones who didn't know that was the thing you could do. If they gave up 3,000 yards last year, 3,000 on the ground, yeah, let's throw the ball all over the place. That seems like a great idea. Absurd. All right, you mentioned the Commanders' backfield, so we're going to jump ahead to those guys. I was going to save them for later, but since Debro, you already brought them up, it did feel a little bit more committee-ish. I got to tell you, I'll take the L on Jeremy McNichols there. He's 11% rostered right now. He did take the Austin Eckler role in completion. It felt like. Now, Mariota was playing quarterback, so I don't know if it changes with Jayden Daniels. I think that's the one thing that you step away and you go, okay, is this an illusion or is this just how the offense ran with Mariota? McNichols certainly ate. Chris Rodriguez worked as well. He is just 10% rostered. So talk to me about this full-blown committee here. If Rodriguez and McNichols, and from the likes of it, they're on the waiver wire, are still available, how do you approach them in week 4 here, Debro? Who's the guy that you prefer? Is it format-based or is it something totally different in your mind?
See, for me, it's if McNichols and Rodriguez are both out there on the waiver wire, I'm going to prioritize Rodriguez over McNichols only because we do know the role that he's going to play. And it's probably not going to be the red zone role. McNichols played 25% of the snaps. He had the big run, but only 4 carries and 78 yards. There wasn't a whole lot of kicking in with the passing game, and that could be more of a product of Mariota because Jayden Daniels will feature the running backs in the passing game more. But for me, give me the guy that's probably more likely going to get the goal line usage if everything turns in his favor. So I'm more likely to pick up Rodriguez, just looking at like if Bill were to miss time, if anything changes about this backfield. I think Rodriguez is the guy that I feel better about his weekly volume moving forward if that's how it shakes out. So probably just a small spend. You're probably not going to have to pay up heavy for him, probably like 3 to 5%. Maybe in some leagues, if, running backs decimated, maybe 6 to 7%.
Pat, what's your take on these two guys, McNichols and Rodriguez in the Commanders' backfield? Because, and also, too, if you could, throw in your take on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt at this stage in the game, too.
I was pretty shocked to see Chris Rodriguez start that game yesterday and get the first touch for the Commanders. I was watching that and I'm like, wait a second, that's not Bill. So I'm with Debro. I think I would rather roster Chris Rodriguez. I think Jeremy McNichols can make decent PPR duct tape if you've got a hole in your backfield and just kind of give you 8 or 9 points. But like McNichols would not really gain substantial value if anything were to happen to either of the other guys. He's just going to stay the passing down back. Maybe he gains a couple of snaps and touches a game, but it's really sort of the balance of power between Rodriguez and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt that we have to watch. Right now, I don't think either of them are ideal starts, just because they're splitting this. But I don't know. We have pretty low suggested bids. Like, I don't want to go over 5%. I don't think for either of these guys, quite honestly, just because it's so messy.
Right. You're the master of metaphor, Pat. Don't let anybody tell you differently.
Wordsmith. Absolutely wordsmith.
Let's talk about a couple handcuffs, too, just to go quickly through this. We talked about Blake Corum last week. Roster percentage didn't move a whole lot, but he continues to get work. 8 carries for 53 against the Eagles on Sunday. And then Braelon Allen also currently, both of these guys rostered under 40%. Braelon Allen 37, Blake Corum 28 over on Sleeper. Again, we use the Sleeper ones because that's typically a little bit more active, but you'll always see Yahoo, ESPN, these roster percentages are much lower. And then Braelon Allen, 6 carries for 30. So Pat, in the interest of handcuffs, if both these guys are out there, or you're saying looking ahead to backfields where you might be able to at some point use one of these guys a little bit more, Corum or Braelon Allen, who do you think has more value this season?
Corum, because Sean McVay is committed to, he is kind of a monogamous guy with his running backs. He likes the one running back approach, and that is a really good offense. So if anything happened to Kyron, like Corum would instantly be a guy you're probably ranking weekly as a top 15 running back. Whereas Braelon Allen, like I think if Breece Hall went down, it's probably going to be some sort of combination of Braelon Allen and Isaiah Davis. And we've heard Aaron Glenn talk about wanting to use multiple backs. Plus, the Jets' offense just isn't that good.
No, it's not. But they almost pulled a rabbit out of their hat yesterday. Crazy day of football yesterday. Debro, Allen or Corum for you? Because you seem to have quite a reaction from Pat's answer.
So I don't disagree about Corum owning that backfield and him being the clear handcuff. I lean to Braelon Allen only because look at the upcoming schedule, guys. He gets the Dolphins, the Cowboys, the Broncos. You could run on the Broncos, the Panthers, and then the Cincinnati Bengals. If Breece Hall were to miss any time, tell me which one of those matchups, any of those matchups, are you that supremely worried about on the ground for that running back? So for me, it just comes down to the backfield. But if we put both these guys in a vacuum and say, okay, I really, and it's not to say Corum's schedule is incredibly difficult, but I'm just going to kind of lean on the schedule. If Breece Hall were to miss any time, Braelon Allen has just a runway of amazing matchups over the next 5 weeks.
I get it. My only thing is I think if the starters were to go down, I think Corum is a pretty good bet for around 20 touches and maybe Braelon Allen 14, 15.
Okay. No, I don't disagree with that.
All right, let's talk about getting ahead of the curve, too, because I think it's always important not just to look at the guys who might be able to impact this week, but maybe in the future, too. And once again, like the Ayomanor conversation, let's get ahead. Let's also, try to put guys on a roster that are helpful as assets, even for trades, even if we don't need assets necessarily, and our team is 3-0 to start the year. I want to talk about 2 running backs. Kyle Monangai, who is 23% roster of the Chicago Bears. And then I want to talk about Woody Marks of the Houston Texans, who are now 0-3, and he is under 20% roster, just at 19 right now on Sleeper. So Nick Chubb, I think we'd all agree, is getting by. It's fine. Offensive line isn't great. Chubb is not what he used to be. We all knew that was going to be the case at his age with the massive injuries that he had. At what point does it feel like they're going to start evaluating things at 0-3 as the Texans and start saying, okay, let's find out what we have in Woody Marks here and see if we can get him a little bit more action. And then also the health of DeAndre Swift has been a little questionable to start the year. He's another running back that's been around the block for a little while here. there's room for Monangai because it seems like Roshan Johnson is persona non grata. So at some point, maybe these guys are both insurance policies. Debro, talk to me about Marks and Monangai. What you think people should be doing with them? Should they just be left on the waiver wire monitored, or should they be rostered this week in particular, especially with so many running back injuries already occurring in week 3?
Both should be on rosters. Just looking at straight handcuff value. And then plus, like, even the flex value moving forward, like Woody Marks quietly played last week 47% of the snaps. He had 7 touches, dude. Like, and we know really his utility is in the passing game. So while you look at Kyle Monangai, like, not a prolific pass catcher in college. I don't think he does that in the NFL. Plus all the pass game options with the Bears. If one of these guys could take over a backfield and play all 3 downs and be an asset in the passing game, I think it's Woody Marks. And I think his snap share, like if you're deciding between both of these guys, it's Woody Marks over Monangai, but the answer is both.
Okay. Pat, what's your answer to this question?
I want Monangai. And it's a big part of it is just not thinking DeAndre Swift is very good. And there's some metrics that point out the Bears have been really good at getting DeAndre Swift yards before contact so far. Like the Bears, I think, are one of the leading teams in blocking. Basically, it's a few yards before DeAndre Swift is hitting contact, but then his metrics once he gets contact are terrible. And I just think Monangai is a better runner. And also if we're filtering for offensive line play here, like that certainly makes Woody Marks, and also I'll throw in Ollie Gordon, a little less appealing. But Kyle Monangai would have a pretty good offensive line in front of him if he ever usurped DeAndre Swift. Like the Bears completely built the middle of that offensive line in free agency with Joe Thuney, Chris Dahlman, Jonah Jackson. So, like, Monangai is absolutely my favorite vulture play at running back right now, and I'm trying to get him.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorite last draft picks in draft season. Go back and watch those drafts. All the Monangai I could have. I'm just waiting for that to turn around. And one more point I want to make, too, and you're seeing this so much in the NFL the last couple of years, especially now that you have moved to the 17-game schedule. If you've got rookie running backs, you need to be patient. You know, college kids play about 12 games a year. You know, you want to count bowls or college playoffs, however you want to count it, right? Basically, September is like a redshirt month for these kids where they just kind of sit there and they kind of take it in and all that stuff. And some of them work more than others. But if you've got the Travion Hendersons and the RJ Harveys of the world and you haven't seen like what you've seen out of Scadaboo yet or what you're going to see now by default out of Amari and Hampton, I think it's part of the plan. And we saw it last season, and I think you're going to see more of it because when they ran Dameon Pierce out of the gate, right, they ran him into the ground and he never recovered from it. Not that he was great to begin with, but you saw he hit week 12 and it was just done that year as a rookie. And I think you're seeing the NFL understand, okay, rookie running backs, we've got to just gauge ourselves, be a little bit more cautious. It's a long season, especially for those teams that have playoff hopes like the Chargers. Now their back's against the wall. Now they're going to have to play Amari and Hampton every single time. So a little bit different scenario, but just be patient and keep buying the rookie running backs. I think eventually it turns. I want to talk to everybody about the sponsor of our show before we get to the wide receivers to discuss, and we've got a lot of them. Hard Rock Bet. Hard Rock Bet is available right now. It's week 4 in the NFL, but if you haven't tried Hard Rock Bet, what are you waiting for? There's still time to get 150 in bonus bets. If you win, all you got to do is just place a $5 bet. If it hits, boom, you get the 150 in bonus bets right now. That's all you got to do. And if you want to see what other people are betting on from now through the weekend, the Hard Rock Bet app shows you trending plays, trending parlays, the most bet player props, top picked upsets, and more. Just download the app and all the info is just a tap away. Hard Rock Bet now has promos every single day too. This week, there's profit boost on 5 straight days of football. That's Thursday night profit boost, Friday college profit boost. We're talking about Saturday's college games, and then NFL Sundays and Monday night football. It's all there. And every Thursday, Hard Rock Bet also gives you the legendary reward drops. The drops are full of rewards like bonus bets, parlay insurance, and more. Debro could have used some parlay insurance this weekend. I guarantee you that. Open up the drop in time for this weekend's games and see what you get. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states launching all the time. So go over to Hard Rock Bet today, sign up, and make your first deposit. $5 bet wins, 150 in bonus bets is on the way. Let's talk about the wide receivers, and let's talk about the potential for Fool's gold with Luther Burden, 25% roster. Not on the field a ton. He's been super efficient. Jake Seeley and I did the short version waiver wire pod, and we touched on this. And Jake brought up a really interesting point, Pat, which is, he kind of compared Burden to, if he's going to be this kind of efficient, it's like almost like a Tyler Boyd, where you could never really start him, but he would get fantasy points, and you get really frustrated sometimes when he did. I understand that, but I also understand the Bears had some draft capital when it came to Luther Burden. So how do we parse these two things, and how do we spend on him in a week where people are going to be looking for wide receivers and they're going to see Luther Burden out there in 75% of leagues?
He is a stash. If anyone wants to throw big money at him based on the 3 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown he had in week 3, let them. If you get him cheaply, because he's interesting for sure. I mean, Burden is a playmaker, but he only played 29% of the Bears' offensive snaps in week 3. His 17 snaps were half as many as Olamide Zaccheaus. So I do think Burden eventually overtakes Zaccheaus to be the main slot receiver for the Bears, but right now he's just not getting enough snaps for you to play him. He's a stash.
All right, so we're stashing Luther Burden here. Debro, what are your thoughts on Burden?
Yeah, same to what Pat's echoing. Like I'm not going to go out there and chase, this just feels like chasing the stat line of 100 receiving yards. And if you're a team that's sitting at 3-0, then fine. And you have a wide receiver need, you're playing for the back end of the season, that is totally fine. If you're an 0-3 team and you're saying, oh, Luther Burden, weekly flex play, let's go, then no, you don't need to be spending high on him. You need other players that are going to actually play. This is a team where or at least Luther Burden is a player that I want to pick up if I'm 3-0 or I'm 2-1, and I'm looking at the stretch run for my team and I'm looking ahead already, versus if I need weekly flex plays right now, walking into bye weeks, Burden's not the top of that list.
All right, so Burden not the top of your list. Let's talk about some of the other guys here. Alec Pierce, all these guys, by the way, under 10% rostered. And Pierce at 9, Tory Horton at 8% rostered. Trey Tucker coming off a big day too, 6% rostered. And Tyquan Thornton, just 2% rostered. He had one amazing catch, one amazing almost catch. This is back-to-back weeks of the big splash play, but it feels like chasing our tail with some of these guys. Mm-hmm. To me, between Pierce, Tucker, Thornton, and Horton is the guy that is most appealing to me by a mile. Now, especially in leagues where you get anything for return yards too, because now returns are a thing again. And fantasy leagues, some of them do reward you for that. So keep that in mind. But yesterday, another 4-catch effort for Horton, another touchdown for him. That's back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. And I get it. Cooper Kupp is still there. I understand that. But Horton's getting a lot of time on the playing field, D-Bro. And it also feels like if the only thing standing between him and a big, explosive rookie season is Cooper Kupp, I'm willing to roll the dice on that, because Kupp's injury history and performance at this stage in his career is nowhere near what it used to be. So what are your thoughts on this collection of players? Who do you want to chase? Who do you want to avoid? Thornton, Tucker, Horton, Pierce. Give me your discussion points on that.
I'm avoiding Sterling Shepard. I'm avoiding Alec Pierce. The Colts are actually running a committee behind Michael Pittman, so none of those guys are really getting full-time snaps. So I'm not chasing stat lines for either one of those guys. Shepard, I think, took advantage of Brandon Stevens, who's been god-awful opposite Sauce Gardner. So Tory Horton is the guy that sticks out here. I mean, 8% rostered. I think going 5 to 8% for a bid on FAAB on him is absolutely real. If people are looking at the snap share, I want to be very clear about this. Seattle pulled their starters because they were absolutely just stomping the Saints. When the starters were out there, Tory Horton had a 72% snap share. So don't let the ending numbers lie to you. And like Joe was talking about, I mean, we just talked up Elic Ayomanor as the top pickup of the weekend. If he's out there, Tory Horton's put up very similar stat lines with touchdowns in each of the last 2 weeks. And Cooper Kupp's health, we cannot bank on that. Is Cooper Kupp going to be healthy and in the lineup in week 15, week 16, week 14? I don't know. I can't tell you that he definitively will be, or that Horton, because of being a talented rookie, and honestly, we talked about in pre-draft, Pat, dude's got the talent. He was just hurt going into the pre-draft process and stuff. So Horton's the guy that sticks out. And before, Patty gets in here and talks about these guys too, I really want to give the PSA also, because I know the monster game that he had. I'm not chasing Trey Tucker on the waiver wire. I want to be very clear about that. I'm not doing it. I think this is an absolute and ridiculous outlier game. We are discussing a player that prior to week 3 had 0.99 yards per route run in his career, a 13% target per route run rate. He had 22 games before this last week with 60% or more of the snaps. In only 4 of those games had he eclipsed 60 receiving yards. So, fool's gold. I'm not chasing Trey Tucker. I am buying into Tory Horton.
Well, I'm glad you threw Shepard into that mix, too. He is just 2% rostered. He's another free square. And obviously, Tampa with the Mike Evans hamstring issue going on. He is going to get some work. I think in 14-team leagues, he's probably a streamer for this week, especially since Igbuka, although he played great, wasn't 100% going into that game to begin with. There were some questions on what kind of snap count he was going to be on. But Shepard feels like a guy, okay, maybe a streamer for a week or two if you need him, but the upside is probably a wide receiver 4-ish, like somewhere in that range. But we've seen him be productive before in weird circumstances with Baker Mayfield. But Pat, let's talk about some of these guys too, because Shepard, Thornton, obviously some big splash plays back-to-back weeks. That's going to grab a lot of attention, especially on a standalone primetime game. It shouldn't have an impact, but it does because more eyeballs are seeing it. So people say, oh, Tyquan Thornton looks great, right? And he is what Xavier Worthy was supposed to be in this offense. And right now he's filling that role. I don't know how long it lasts, but to me, Horton is the clear guy that I would be circling and bidding hard on. What do you think about Horton? And then what do you think about the rest of this cluster of wide receivers? Pierce, Tucker, again, Thornton, Shepard, even these guys that are kind of free squares.
I agree. Horton is the most interesting of this group by far. Just a good prospect, no worse than number 3 in Seattle's wide receiver pecking order, and he could easily pass Cooper Kupp. And we saw Sam Darnold make number 2 Vikings receiver Jordan Addison a weekly must start last week. So I'm not worried about like Horton not being able to. I don't mind that he would be the clear number 2 behind Jackson Smith and Jigba, put it that way. Even with Sam Darnold. Oh, and I was just going to say about, I mean, I wouldn't chase Sterling Shepard. I kind of agree with what Debro was saying last night when we were talking about this for the waiver article, that like Kate Otten probably stands to benefit more than Sterling Shepard from the absence of Mike Evans and maybe Chris Godwin not being ready to come back. And just to put a fine point on the Trey Tucker thing, like 145 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Yes, and he did play 94% of the offensive snaps, as many as Jacoby Myers did, but like in 35 previous NFL games, Tucker had 6 touchdown catches. He's never had double-digit targets in a game. The 8 catches yesterday were a career high. I just think this was kind of a one-off that's not worth chasing. We always say don't chase last week's points, and I think this is a classic example. I mean, Trey Tucker is 5'8" and 182 pounds. Like, how many receivers that tiny are reliable fantasy assets? He's just not built for volume, and it's just going to be real scattershot production.
Pat, I think to your point, that was more of a reflection of the Commanders' secondary than it had said anything about Trey Tucker to me.
Yeah, fair. But that's something to be targeting as we go ahead to and start and sit situations in the next couple weeks ahead. In deeper leagues too, obviously more injuries are opening up more opportunity. If indeed we do have McLaurin out, and obviously we're going to have CeeDee Lamb out, Jalen Tolbert 2% rostered, Luke McCaffrey 1% rostered. Pat, any interest in like 14-team leagues in these guys where they're worth a roster spot even?
Yeah, I think Tolbert, because now it's down to Pickens and Tolbert, and Pickens has never been a volume guy. Now the matchups aren't great the next 2 weeks with the Packers and the Jets, but like
the Jets though, he's going to get Brandon Stevens.
Yeah, that's true.
Sauce is going to be on Pickens.
That's true. Good point.
Yep.
So, I don't love the matchup for Tolbert this week on a short week against the Packers, but maybe in week 5. And I don't know about McCaffrey. Not kind of buying in right now. I'm actually kind of more interested in Jalen Lane, the rookie. I think he might be more of a playmaker, but I don't know if I'm going to go for any of the available Commanders wide receivers.
Debro, any thoughts on Tolbert and McCaffrey?
Yeah, I like Tolbert. I don't want to flex him this week against the Packers, but against the Jets, dude, Brandon Stevens has been god-awful, man. Like walking into this last week, 80% catch rate, 145 passer rating. The Jets would probably wish they had never signed that, given that contract. So Tolbert's definitely flex viable. And yeah, McCaffrey, like he was 4th on the team in snaps, only ran 11 routes. I think it's more of just a one-off.
All right, let's talk about guys to drop. I want to know if you're holding or dropping some of these guys. Let's start with 2 running backs. Dylan Sampson, Tyler Allgeier. Would you stay the course with these guys, Debro, or would you drop them back to the waiver wire with the emergence of Judkins? And obviously, at some point, if you have injuries, it's nice to have Allgeier as an insurance policy handcuff, but you might not have that luxury with the rest of your squad being hurt now with all the injuries we've had in the first couple weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Allgeier just depends on like what does the options look like on the waiver wire, and if you have Bijan.
Would you drop him for Ollie Gordon?
Oh yeah, I would drop him for Ollie. I would drop him for any one of the other
Woody
running backs
Marks?
that we kind of
Would
talked
you
about
drop him
here.
for
Woody Marks.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's the
because
gauge I wanna
more
get.
utility. Absolutely. I would be dropping him. Sampson. I mean, I talked about it in week 1, dude. Like his production in week 1 was kind of fraudulent. Like he got 8 targets on 14 routes, and then last week I talked about it in the primer too. Like Jerome Ford was the passing down back. Dylan Sampson is droppable. Like I'm sorry, like it's just a fact, people. So I'd be dropping him. It wouldn't even have a problem with it at all.
Pat, let me get your take on these wide receivers. Marvin, Mims, Jayden, Higgins. Kirk returned. Obviously, Franklin starting to emerge there for the Broncos. Would you drop Mims and Higgins right now, or you stay on the course with those guys?
Oh, man, I'm such a Marvin Mims fan. But, yeah, he's an explosive playmaker. But if you have to make room, I mean, he's only playing about half of Denver's offensive snaps, maybe less every game. Sean Payton is giving Trent Sherfield way too many snaps. It's just kind of annoying. And he's kind of made his decision with Troy Franklin being the number 2 guy behind Cortland Sutton. And, yeah, I think drop Higgins. I mean, I think Nico is the only worthwhile Texans receiver. Maybe Christian Kirk in deeper leagues.
So you would drop Mims for Horton, right? See, I think I would.
I would.
I think I would.
We've seen a long enough track record. Like I think at this point, can we just say we know who Marvin Mims is and who he isn't? Like,
I don't know. He's 23, dude. I don't want to bury him yet.
I don't want to bury him.
I mean, I don't need to bury him. Sean Payton's doing a good enough job on his own.
Good point.
Damn,
good point.
Girl.
Like I just,
damn.
it's not me. It's Payton.
It's a good point.
Man, got burned on that one. All right, let's talk about some of the streamers going into week 4 in the NFL. Let's start at the quarterback position. Fitzy, kick us off with a streamer for week 4 at QB.
Goodness, Joe, the last time I recommended Geno Smith as a streaming QB, he had 3 interceptions, and I got crushed for it in some of the comments. I'm definitely worried that Geno is got this Brett Saberhagen thing where he's only good in odd-numbered weeks.
Oh, that's a pull!
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pull.
How's that for a lot
I
of...
thought you were going full Jameis Winston, but we went Saberhagen,
The kids are like, who the heck is Brett Saberhagen?
Yeah,
look
they're
him
gonna
up.
Google that.
Go look him up.
That hurt.
Oh,
I did not need
baby.
a Brett Saberhagen reference this
That
early
was
in the morning.
such a pull,
But
man.
I do
Brings me back to the
love...
days of Vince Coleman shooting reporters with a water gun full of I don't know what he had in there, but it wasn't water, and he was shooting up reporters with the water gun. I
feel like we've gone full leading off right now.
I do love...
full MLB.
I do love Geno's week 4 matchup against the Bears. I mean, Chicago's pass defense. Somehow, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys couldn't take advantage, but the Bears' best cornerback, Jalen Johnson, he's out indefinitely with a groin injury. Their second best cornerback, their slot corner, Kyler Gordon, he has a hamstring injury. So this is a gettable Bears defense, and I think Geno could get them at home in week 4.
All right. After you've sufficiently depressed me. By the way, great book, The Worst Team Money Could Buy. One of the great books ever about a bad baseball team. Go read it. If you're looking for a book, there you go. Give me a quarterback, not Geno Smith, D-Bro, please.
I'm going to go Matthew Stafford. I know it hasn't equated to like a lot of fantasy production. He's playing really good football, man.
He
like,
is.
Against,
He is playing good football.
Against the Eagles wasn't a great game, but walking into that game, I mean,
See, I don't know. I disagree. He played a really good football game. They managed the football game. They had that football game in tow. They gave it up. 2 block kicks. I mean, look, the Rams should have won that football game, period. They outplayed the Eagles, but the Eagles, to their credit, grinded it out, did not take a play off at the end. And I gotta give credit to them, man. The Eagles are champions right now.
The Eagles,
no, absolutely.
The Eagles denying the Rams every time. Well, a lot of the times the Rams would get down close, and the Rams just couldn't cash in. With, like one more touchdown for the Rams. Yeah.
After the first 2.5 weeks of the season, finally, like, oh, there he is. There's AJ Brown. Nice to see you again.
Not until the second half of that game either. I think he was skunked at halftime.
Like the fourth quarter, basically. All right.
He went beast mode in the second half.
So keep saying nice things about Matthew Stafford. Go ahead.
I mean, dude, I'm not worried about the Colts secondary. Their cornerbacks are gettable. Stafford was playing he has been playing extremely good football. Like walking into week 3, this is a quarterback we're talking about. Like he's top 7 in yards per attempt, passer rating, and highly accurate throw rate. So I think looking at a fully healthy Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, the touchdowns are going to get there. So I would be streaming Stafford this week.
All right, let's talk about a streaming tight end this week. D-Bro, who do you have?
Man, streaming tight end is rough this week. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, the options are pretty tough. So I'm going to go with a guy that I know that the box scores haven't been there, but I think the routes are definitively there, and the matchup is there this week. So it sounds like a deep pull, but Mason Taylor. He has played 72 to 88% of the snaps for the Jets every single week. He is walking out of a game where he had a season-high 16% target share, and the Dolphins have allowed the 5th most fantasy points per game to tight ends. So I think Mason Taylor, again, if you're hurting at tight end, not only a streamer, but people need to be picking him up, because the thing that we haven't talked about, or hasn't been talked about enough, is how much the ankle injury that he sustained in the preseason and training camp could have hindered him out the gate. And I think for a team that, look, I understand they're not going to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. I get that. We've seen Justin Fields support a high-end fantasy tight end before. This is a very consolidated passing attack. So after Garrett Wilson, somebody else has to catch the ball. I think Mason Taylor could work his way into where he's flirting with tight end 1 weekly value.
All right, let's talk about a tight end from your perspective, Fitzy. Does the Loveland injury open up something for Cole Kmet this week?
It does if Loveland is in fact out. We're still waiting for more information on that, but he did leave the week 3 game with a hip injury of some sort. So if he is out, Cole Kmet would start and would be a pretty attractive option, as much as Caleb Williams seems to like throwing to his tight ends. So, but if Loveland plays, Kmet's kind of off the table, but as a conditional play here in a bad week for streaming tight ends, I do think Kmet could have some appeal.
All right, a streaming defense for week 4, Fitzy. Who do you have off the waiver wire?
I like the 49ers in a home matchup against Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has 4 interceptions so far. He's averaging 5.9 yards per pass attempt, and the 49ers have held each of their first 3 opponents to less than 200 net passing yards.
Wow. Yeah, that 49ers Cardinals game was not very enjoyable to watch at times. Like, I mean, if you like defense, it was. And
that and Jaguars Texans were tough watches, man. Packers Browns was pretty ugly too.
Nick Caley is so bad.
The one takeaway I did have, Pat, there was a couple moments there where they were trying to push the ball in with McCaffrey in the end zone, and the Cardinals just were not having it. So I was impressed with what the Cardinals did, but there was also part of me going, maybe McCaffrey doesn't have that aspect of his game anymore at this stage in his career, like that kind of power.
Yeah.
And like I said, McCaffrey still played well. He's having a really good season. Not trying to shade Christian McCaffrey. It was just something that was noticeable because it happened not just once or twice. It was a couple times in that game, a few times in that game. And then he took a shot down there too. He got lit up down by the goal line. Another one of those plays. Let's talk about the streaming defense from your point of view. D-Bro, who do you have?
Yeah, to your point, Joe, Christian McCaffrey looking more Alvin Kamara-ish in 2025 than actually CMC-ish.
Well, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that extra push gear, and I'm sure that comes from whatever that weakness in the lower half of the body.
Yeah, injuries, volume, and time. It just kind of robbed him of that second gear, but he's still getting a ton
it
of
robbed us of
volume,
hair,
but...
and it's robbed Christian McCaffrey of goal line attempts. That's what it's going to.
Tried to rob Christian McCaffrey of his hair, but thank God for Tory. But anyway, on to different subjects.
In France.
Yeah. But, outside of discussing hairlines here, the Rams defense, man, like they're the DST 6 in fantasy points per game, and they're pressuring the quarterback. I mean, they sacked Hurts 4 times last week. You tell me they can't get at Daniel Jones, and I'm not saying that he's not playing well or playing good football, but the Rams are still going to be able to pressure him. They're still going to be able to get sacks. So I'm going to fire up the Rams defense.
All right, the company mandates we mention a kicker, so give me a kicker, D-Bro, for this week.
Oh, man, I'm going Matt Prater. Again, we're talking about old men here. Kicker 5 in fantasy points per game, dude.
Look at him go. Coach Prater.
12 or more. 12 or more fantasy points in 2 of 3 games, dude. The coach is getting it done, baby.
Coach Prater. Fitzy, give me a kicker for this week.
Spencer Schrader of the Colts, leading all kickers in fantasy, scoring 11 field goals already. Colts-Rams could be a pretty high-scoring game, and Schrader gets to kick indoors at SoFi Stadium.
All right, if you want to snag the difference makers in fantasy, make sure you're using Waiver Central, fantasybros.com/myplaybook. Sync your leagues for free. Download the app wherever you get your apps. Fantasy Pros app is available. You sync your league with My Playbook. Did I mention it's for free? And use the tools. Don't be a tool. Like Waiver Central will help get the right players on your roster and the wrong players off of it so you can win a fantasy championship, because that's what we're doing here. That's what it's all about. All right, top waiver ads of the week for those of you who are running waivers the old-fashioned way. D-Bro, give me your top 5 for week 4.
So I'll give the PSA because I know he's about 50%, but if any chance that Trey Benson is out there, he is obviously the top pickup of the week. If he's not out there, it's Elic.
We all co-sign that. He should not be.
Yeah.
But if he shouldn't be. Please,
he shouldn't be.
All the Trey
But if
Benson.
you're in like a 10-team league and he happens to be out there or whatever, this is like a 60% FAAB kind of situation, 75%. It's close to empty the clip. Like, how much do you think an RB2 is worth out on waivers?
I don't know what he is on Yahoo, Pat. I don't know if you have that up and available, but he is 96% rostered on Sleeper, where normal people.
Benson
are
is 50 in Yahoo.
50, yeah. So he
makes my
could
head
be
hurt.
out there in shallower leagues. I've just got to give the PSA. But if he's not out there, Elic is number 1 for me. Troy Franklin number 2. We didn't talk about him here, but I know a lot of people might be dropping Darnell Mooney. He's under 50% at Yahoo. He's number 3. Christian Kirk, another name that we didn't discuss a lot here, but the volume is there. I'm not telling you the Texans' passing attack is wonderful right now, but if Christian Kirk is going to see that much weekly volume, he's going to be a flex play moving forward. He's number 4, and Matthew Stafford is 5 for me.
All right, let's get to your picks here in order for week 4. Fitzy, what do you have?
Yeah, let's go with Elic Ayomanor at the top. Troy Franklin, if he's available, he'd be number 2. Kyle Monangai, number 3. Ollie Gordon, number 4. And we'll put Tory Horton in at number 5.
Yes, love me some Tory Horton. Let's give some love to Tory there. Don't forget, weekly Waiver Wire Show live stream, Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to the channel, drop your comments below, but ring the bell till it goes ding, because that's how you'll get the alert in case you're like, oh, look, I'm kind of bored. So what do I get? I get a little bit of Joe and Debro talking Waiver Wire Tuesdays, again, 3 p.m. Eastern on the channel. We also, on Wednesdays, we talk trade. On Thursday, we talk start sit, all live, all for you. You can ask your questions. So be part of the channel here, Fantasy Pro. Subscribe. We're trying to get to 300,000 subscribers this year. We can do it with your help. And remember, when you like the video, when you subscribe, when you drop a comment, you might win the belt from Trophy Smack this week. Lots of good things. Hopefully you win some waiver wire claims as well. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Pat Fitzmaurice and Derek Brown, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.